Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to those Two Geeks. He's Alex. I'm Joe, and this is quite a occasion for the show tonight. We started talking, real time life without you guys, and then I said, "Nah, let's put this on the show because this is
Yeah,
exciting." So Alex agreed, and even if he didn't, I would have said
it's
record. So,
well, yeah. I mean, would have ended up on there one way or another.
yeah. So, I mean, I am beyond freaking pumped. Like, so when you sent it to me yesterday, I was walking my dog, and he is such a pain in the ass. Like, he yanks the leash, and like, I can't text when I walk him because I
Mm.
drop my phone. And so I briefly saw your message, and I was like, oh, cool. They're going to go to a Morgan Wallen concert. I'm like, I'm not a big fan, but that's neat. And then like I was like, wait a minute, there's more context to this. And when I got in the house and sat down, I read it. Dude, I almost fell out of my couch. Like I was so fucking like, what? And I did like a triple take. And yeah, I'm elated. Like, I don't care if it's
Yeah,
20 minutes, you know?
it's so for those of you who didn't get the same message. My wife and I, well, she is a much bigger Morgan Wallen fan than I am, and had been trying to
Mm-hmm.
get tickets to see him. Uh, for various reasons, it ended up actually being more convenient and cheaper. Well, no, more convenient at the very least to see him at Fenway Park, which is
Mm-hmm.
minutes from where Joe lives, than
Yeah,
it
dude.
than it did in Atlantic Canada. So, in part because the show in Atlantic Canada is a festival, and you've got to buy a 3-day pass. He plays on on a Thursday night, and she couldn't get the Friday off, or even the Thursday off. So it
Mm-hmm.
very much would have been a leave work, hope to get there in time, and find parking and everything else. Uh, See him, turn around and drive home almost immediately, or if we're tired, sleep in a parking lot because the hotels are already all booked out. Or
Yeah, that makes perfect
and
sense. And
and so and if but if he cancels because it's a festival, you're shit out of luck.
yeah. So there's
The
an Atlanta, Canada.
Atlantic Canada, sorry.
Oh, Atlantic. Okay, okay.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
it's just the region, right? Like, so there's the Maritimes, and which is, I think, I always get confused between the two, but the Maritimes are New Brunswick, Prince Edward Island, and Nova Scotia, and then Atlantic
Mhm.
Canada is those three plus Newfoundland because of the Atlantic Ocean. But yeah, so he's in the Maritimes, I guess, would be more accurate. But
Mhm.
yeah, so we she was desperate to see him, and we were going on vacation around the time he's in Toronto, Montreal, and Ottawa. So it just didn't work out. And I was like, well, how about this show? And it was in DC, and that was around the same.
Mhm.
Like just the flights were insane.
Oh
Um,
yeah, absolutely.
I know I've told you all this, but just as a recap for everyone. And then
Mhm.
we realized that she had the Friday the 18th off, and I have plenty of time. My boss is flexible, so I'm like, I now also have that day off. And I was like, so what about this show? She's like, yeah, the flights are insane there as well. I'm like, okay, that's fair. Why don't we drive? Yes, it's upwards of I think it's like a 10+ hour drive,
Right.
but I mean, you do it over 2 days,
Mhm.
leave work, and then just hit the road immediately. You don't lose any vacation time, which is why I mean it's a very short visit,
Oh no, understandable.
given that we'll actually be in Boston proper for the first time in years,
Mhm.
um,
Right.
I said to Joe that we send each other gifts every year for Christmas, and
Mhm.
both of us have been terrible this year for doing that.
We tried. We were horrible. It
We were
went from
horrible.
Christmas to
So
March to Christmas in July to
yeah,
now, like
and it got
having
to
to
the
meet
point where
live.
I actually wrapped your stuff ready for Christmas in July and just didn't send it. And now I'm glad I
Yep.
didn't send it because I'm like, I'm just gonna
Me
bring it
too,
to you.
dude.
Like, I'm just gonna.
It's
I said,
amazing.
yeah, I was like, I'm just gonna bring it to you.
For context, we've known each other since 2015. And
Yeah.
we've been very close. Like again, no bullshit. I consider you,
Yeah.
Alex, one of my very best friends, even though we've never met. Like, there's really nothing I haven't talked to you about or
Hmm.
let you in on. And like, we talk very consistently, even when we're
Yeah.
not recording.
Well,
But
I
this
remember
is amazing.
like we would talk often anyway.
Hmm.
Like we
Yeah.
may not record often, but once we finally got into a schedule, it worked
Hmm.
out really well. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, so it's like I said, it's a flying visit. There's going to be
Mhm.
very little time, but
That's okay. I mean,
but I
this is
mean
a dream for
coming.
me.
Yeah, no, I was just say like coming that far, like it's not like we're going to Salem and we're not, not going that
Yeah,
much further, and you can't
exactly.
make it up. It's a
It's like
Friday,
35 minutes from me from here.
right?
Like if
So,
and I will bolt wherever you want to go. Probably don't recommend meeting at Fenway. That shit's gonna be a crap show, but
oh,
like you can meet
it's
like
gonna be absolutely insane. But I mean, we're gonna want
yeah,
supper
so
or something, right? So,
on your way back, there'll be stops on the highway. So like one of those rest stops or whatever, I'll meet you at, or if there's a restaurant you guys fancy and want to
well, that's
go.
true too.
See how I
Yeah,
said fancy? Yeah.
I do appreciate that. Yeah, like
So
so. I mean,
yeah.
we'll figure out the particulars
Hmm.
off camera. I say off
Yeah,
camera
yeah.
because we
I
said
know.
January that we're going to start this,
We're
and
going back to that, guys. We are. We are
we
going
are
back.
like we
I'm gonna
haven't
really do
forgotten. It's just that
it.
neither one of us are great for
Hmm.
remembering. Really,
Yeah, we
it's
gotta
just
we
what it
gotta
is.
change that. Like we
Yeah,
really do. But yeah, before I tangent, I'll just finish our subject because I have a tangent. But yeah, no, like I don't care where we meet. Like this is so long overdue.
yeah.
My plan was eventually to just be like, fuck it, you guys go to Disney quite often, I consider. I'll end up taking a Disney vacation and we'll meet up. But this works out so much better. You're in my neck of the woods.
Hmm.
And I'll be very honest with you, other than the stadium and the sports teams, fuck Boston. It's such a shit show of human life and people, and you're gonna see it firsthand. It's fucking crazy. People don't
Uh,
have manners there, man. Wait till you see it.
do you know
It's
what?
gonna
Like
be wild.
the last time we were in Massachusetts, we actually went to Salem for our honeymoon, and everyone there was really nice. So it's
That's cool.
I've really like there's I think there was we were when we had to say it was actually for Halloween.
I've
Uh,
never been to Salem, not
It's
once, and every Halloween I want to go, and like it always falls through with my buddies.
so we stayed at a hotel in Peabody. I
No,
don't
I'm
know.
very familiar with Peabody. Yeah, no, I'm
Yeah,
familiar.
like I don't know which one it was, but we stayed in Peabody, and they had a shuttle basically into the
Hmm.
Salem downtown, so we didn't have to take the car at all. We could just shuttle in. It was like $10 a time, 10 bucks
Right.
like a return sort of thing. Well, one day I gave him my $10 to go, and he gives me change, and it must be like $200 in change. I'm like, dude, did you mean to do this? And he
Hmm.
looks at my hand. He's like, I am so tired. Thank you so much. And then he took everything back. But I think he gave me and my wife. Basically, he gave us the equivalent of a free trip that time, and then the next
Hmm.
one free because I told him, as opposed to just quietly pocketing.
Right.
However, like I didn't
Okay,
count
that
that.
will never happen in Boston. You are
No,
not finding a deal. Like the
and
stadium's
you know what?
overpriced, everything's fucking crazy, but you're
That's
going
and
to
that's to be expected. I mean, it's Fenway Park, right? Like we she we said after she got the ticket, she's like, I'm actually going to Fenway Park. I'm just as excited
yeah,
to go to Fenway as anything else because
dude,
we've
that's
been to
my
Yankee
happy place.
Stadium. Oh, it's like I
I
don't
adore it.
really like baseball, honestly, but the
Mhm.
stadiums, like you hear about them all the time, right? Like Yankee Stadium, we were there to see the Big Four. Uh, we've seen a Blue Jays game in Toronto.
Mhm.
So going to Fenway as well will be fantastic. Um, I don't actually know the names of any other baseball stadiums, if I'm honest. I know my
Okay.
like my coworker. He ends up going to uh, I guess it's FedEx Stadium in DC.
Mm-hmm.
He goes to I wanted to say the Montreal Expos, but it's not. It's the Washington.
Oh, I know you're talking about
Yeah,
the
the
Washington.
Washington baseball team, and it's
Not
not the Washington
Raiders. What the
Capitals.
hell are they? No, they fucking changed the name because they can't be like indigenous. I forget the name. The Washington. It's not the Admirals. It's whatever. I know what you're
The
talking about. It's the
Guardians. Is
Washington.
it? I see now. I'm gonna.
That sounds kind of correct.
Is that the
I
Cleveland?
don't really do baseball much anymore, because it's just
Washington
I've been
Nationals.
over baseball. Nationals, yeah, okay, we were close.
Okay, I don't know.
So
if
the thing
has
is,
that changed.
I'll explain something really, really
Yeah,
quick.
yeah.
So I'm excited. First of all, I've never been to Yankee Stadium because it was always enemy territory as a diehard Red Sox fan when I was growing up. But I've always appreciated the historic factor of Yankee Stadium. And ever since the Red Sox won their first World Series when I was younger in 2004, after 83 years, I feel like the Yankees-Red Sox, like bitter rivalry started to wane. And we ended up becoming more of a rivalry with Tampa Bay. So like I opened it up and I was like, man, I really want to go to Yankee Stadium just to check out the history. Well, when I wanted to go, they were tearing it down. So it's the new Yankee Stadium. And it's beautiful from what I've seen on, TV or whatever, but like it didn't have that same grab. I wanted the historic part of it. I'll go to Yankee Stadium eventually because I'm finishing my father's goal, which was to visit every baseball park in America before he passed. He visited quite a few, like 21.
Oh, wow.
I've been to 11 total. And I will say, besides Fenway, which is my favorite just for personal purposes, my very favorite park I've ever been to is Anaheim out in California, where the Angels play. It has a huge cascading waterfall, and it's the cleanest park I've ever seen in my life. Like you can eat off the floor in the Concord. It's so clean.
Wow.
Because people are very laid back in California about sports. I found that out in 2007 when I went out there for a 3-game series with a friend. We were losing, and I was losing my fucking shit. And I was like screaming all kinds of obscenities and chants that you do in Boston. And the people behind me were like, hey, dude, relax, bro. It's just a game. And I was like, what? And they're like, yeah, man, it's cool. Win some, lose some. And I was like, first of all, I am not smoking what you're smoking. I wish I was. I said, second of all, this is a series going into the ALCS. Like, this is humongous. And they were like, don't worry. But the tickets at that time were like $20. So it was equivalent to going to a movie out here. So like people just casually went. And no one got into the freaking game. It was insane. So I went to 3 games in a row, and like we won 1, lost 2. But it was such a mind screw for me to see like people not super passionate behind their sports teams. But that was the vibe out in California. Like wherever
That's so weird.
Chill. That would be like going from a Bruins game to like imagine being, what is your team? The Oilers?
For Vegas, it's Golden Knights for hockey.
Okay, so that'd be like you going to Golden Knights and they're fucking down by 3 goals and you're like excited and ravenous and they're just like, dude, chill. Like you wouldn't be, dude, chill. Like you're involved. Yeah, so like it was a culture shock, but like I digress. To Boston, I will explain this to you. Fenway Park has to be the dirtiest, dankest subway of a stadium when you're below. Like it is disgusting. If you pee in the bathrooms, pee a foot away from the urinal because you don't know. But I love it so much because there's ramps at all the parks, but like the ramp, ever since I was a little kid, I'll never forget it. My dad took me like 36 times in my life. And every time, even when I do the wrestling shows and I'm able to get full park privileges and all that crap, I always walk up the ramp. It's the dank darkness you're in. It's freaking midnight in that subway. But then you walk up and it's just this bright green, lush, sun shining, huge panoramic, gorgeous view. And it takes my breath away every single time. Now, my favorite sport is football, but the baseball stadium is by far my favorite experience. There's nothing like it walking up the ramp. You'll walk up the ramp to go to your seats. You'll have to. And I'm exaggerating that it's midnight, but it's very dim in there. And when you go to concession stands and shit, and you have to deal with those human moles, like, you're gonna understand what I'm talking about. But when you're up in the stadium, you won't see the grass. But when you're up in the stadium, you're gonna appreciate like the sky open and everything that's around you. It's gonna be really cool. Trust me.
I'm looking forward to it, and it's crazy to think it's in a week, right? Like,
yeah, dude. And then I read that wrong too. I thought it was September, and I went back and I was like, oh my god, it's next week. Like, dude, I like came at the right time. I'm so excited, and I apologize for anyone listening who are expecting our normal content, but this is just amazing.
Yeah, it's so this is being recorded August 11th. We are very likely going to record 2 shows today. So the first show today's show is going to be somewhat shorter. And we were planning on talking about the new Ninja Turtles movie, Mutant Mayhem. That is probably going to be safe for, we say next week, but it's going to be safe for the second show so that we can then give you guys an extra week to see it. The spoiler-free review from both of us is holy shit. It's good.
Incredible. So would you agree with this comparison that I'm going to make? I think Seth Rogen and his team that did this movie are to Ninja Turtles now what Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau are to Star Wars currently.
Yeah, I can see that. I understand the comparison, and I don't disagree with it.
They're so good. I'd never expected this movie. I knew it was going to be decent, but I never expected to fucking be like smiling from the opening scene. Like, there's really no wasted time in this movie. And I don't want to cut you off. Like, Marvel needs to take note of like how organic the jokes are and how everything flows, because none of it seemed forced. It seemed contemporary, but yet nostalgic at the same time. It was just unbelievable how they did it. Like, I was blown away.
It's fantastic. It's really good. Obviously next week we're going to delve into a lot more detail on it, which for us is going to be in about 10 to 15 minutes or so at most, maybe 20, who knows. Before we do that, did we actually have another topic today that we wanted to talk about?
No, that's why I was wondering like where you're going.
I couldn't remember where we were going with it.
We can talk AEW.
We can do. So this just feels like a very old school show where we're like, all right, so what next? Do you remember I mean, we should have probably done a rewind or a review of some of our earlier shit at some point, but do you remember when we used to talk, if like we would record it all entirely live, that we couldn't edit, we didn't know how.
Oh my God, yeah.
we were very much waiting on the I haven't listened to those shows again. I don't know if I ever want to, but they are out.
Have. Believe me, I have, and I sound like a pimply faced teenager in those shows. Like, it's crazy the way I sound versus them. Even though I was a grown man, it's just like I was so squeaky during those episodes.
It's so odd. Well, we would plan stuff out. We'll talk about this, and then inevitably we, as you know by now, we fall on tangents and we don't think of anything. And it's so I actually noticed we have a much more natural flow. Well, you would, right? After being friends for 8 years, you would tend to get that.
And I think that's what people, if you listen, that's what you listen for. You're not listening for a polished product, because believe me, I watched one with my cousin was a guest on one a couple days ago with a friend of mine, and it was polished to the T. We are not that.
No.
But we do offer a very specific type of listening and entertainment. We're almost, yeah, continue.
I was going to say, we're two people talking in a pub or in,
Yes.
you know what I mean? Like that's the kind of vibe we get.
Mhm.
I say pub, but neither one of us drink. So we're two people talking
No.
in a coffee shop, passionately about nerd stuff with
Mhm.
coffee, pop, tea, whatever we've got flying around. And we don't limit ourselves to, we did initially say we're a Batman podcast, and we wouldn't have gone 230 some episodes
No
if we
way.
limited ourselves to just Batman.
And you know how that ended up happening? We were a Batman podcast that kept tangenting about like Marvel and other shit. So we just decided, you know what? This is no longer Gotham Weekly. We need to change the name.
We rebranded.
Mhm.
Took us a while to get going on a
It did.
set schedule.
Definitely did.
I remember. I don't remember when we did, but I
Oh
remember.
God.
It's been a long
Close
time.
to 100 episodes, I think, maybe is when we hit our
I
stride because it was
I
very
remember.
spotty.
Yeah, because I remember we got on our schedule, and then obviously your father passed, and I was doing solo shows just so that we
Mhm.
would keep the
Yes.
momentum going, because you weren't feeling up to it. That's
No, I
right.
yeah,
Like you,
that time frame.
we
If I did a
yeah.
show, I apologize because I was probably not sober during any of those shows. It
I
was a good
no,
6 months.
yeah. I as far as I'm aware that you were. I don't remember any.
Then I fooled you pretty good, man, because
Oh,
like
absolutely would
once
have.
Dad passed, God, man, I mean, it was a blur. I look back on a lot of those days now, and I'm glad where I am. You know,
Yeah, of course.
obviously I miss him, but Jesus, that was a horrible time in my life in so many ways. And this show and the friendship with you is literally one of the shining spots. Like off camera, I was able during some of those times to like talk to you about how bad
Mhm.
I was struggling. Like I'm very open about my alcoholism and addiction. Like I don't like to bring it on the show because that's not what we're about unless Matthew's on, and I feel like that was the appropriate place,
Yeah,
and he
yeah,
made me feel comfortable. And I love the fact that like he respected, Matthew Klein is who we're referring to, folks. He's a
yeah.
superstar. You might have heard of him, but
He comes on every so often.
yeah, he's gonna eventually not be our friend because he's gonna be rich and hit it big. But I
Yeah.
remember when he was talking when we were reviewing Crashing, when we first kind of met him, and he was taking what I said and my, criticisms and points very authentically and appreciative of it
Hmm.
because he's like, that's what I'm trying to write for, is the person who might be or had gone through this. I want to make sure it's authentic. And I think what Matthew respects about me is, and he's told me this off camera too, is the fact that yes, his mom is a clinical psychologist and all kinds of degrees and all that shit.
Mm.
And he's very versed too, but he doesn't have the on the front lines experience that I have,
Yeah.
and so he appreciates it. And I'm not embarrassed about what I've been through in my life. It's taken a lot of hard work. I'll be honest with
Yeah.
you, Alex. I told you this week, I think that was probably the first time. I spend every week, 3 nights a week for 3 hours working on myself in a program
Hmm.
virtually. I do it every week. And then I go to grief counseling, which I finally added because the dad stuff was just too much for me to handle on my own. And I'm not ashamed of it. If you
And
struggle,
nor should you be. I mean, like you said,
fucking reach out if you
yeah,
struggle.
we don't say it enough on the show, but
No.
we, one of the things we hope that you do take from, well, I mean, from this show, obviously, but
Mhm.
from anything, is that if you're struggling, it's okay. That right?
Yeah,
Like
or graphic policy as a whole, it's very built on awareness. Brett's done a
yeah,
great job with this brain. He's very passionate about it.
100%, 100%.
Yeah.
Like we we try to be the lighter corner, because I know the graphic policy radio tends to deal with some heavier
Yeah.
subjects. We touch on it occasionally, but we tend to be more of the coffee shop talk, right? Like that tends to be just
Right.
where we naturally fall. But
We're the alternative to what the other podcasts on this brand is. And the funny
Yeah.
thing is, I've always wondered if Brett ever listened to us. Like, I'm like, does he just not give a shit? Oh, he's listened to us.
Oh,
We
does he?
wouldn't be doing this if he didn't listen. Like, oh yeah, he's listened multiple times,
Okay,
which is
I've
flattering.
often wondered, like, it's just one of those
Oh
things
no,
that
he
I never
listens.
want to. Yeah,
He
I never.
listens. It just never works out when we want to get him on. Like
Yeah.
never, because he's got his daughter and all his side things that he does.
Yep.
So yeah.
Well, I mean, we all have day jobs, right? So it's not like we can. It's not like we're like, all right, so we'll go from this time to this time. It's just one of those things. So yeah,
Yeah, I'm glad you said that sentence, by the way, if you can let me interrupt,
yes,
because
go for
this
it.
is a good topic. The writer's strike, the actor's strike that's going on in Hollywood right now.
Mhm.
A lot of people, including myself, until recently, was pretty desensitized to like what they're actually fighting for and going through. And there was a quote that hit me so hard because I'm a huge fan of his. Someone on a TikTok ran up to Jack Black and they were like, "What do you think about actors who are out of work right now taking jobs as DoorDash and Uber?" And he goes, "Hey, it's Hollywood. This is, unfortunate what is going on." He's like, "But this is the way it's always been." He's like, "Every actor that's in the know in Hollywood has a second job." He goes, "Fuck, I have Tenacious D to fall back on." And it really hit me because I was like, I think of like Tom Cruise going through Mission Impossible and all these other movie roles and whatever. And then when they're not filming, they're sipping a Mai Tai somewhere and just like waiting to be called. Guess it's not the case. Everyone has a backup plan in case this ever came about. And I think it's a great topic to talk about because
Mhm.
they're going through a lot. Like I saw a tweet. Oh, go.
No, carry on.
I saw a tweet of a girl. I don't know her name, a woman writer for a very popular show, got a residual check, and she posted it. And the check was for 21 cents. She's a writer, a creator, and something that like I never thought of it that way. What they're doing and fighting for is they want not just more pay. It's not about pay, which is what I was like, oh God, they get paid a ton. No, it's not about that. They want more recognition, more respect, because this AI stuff that's happening, which Skynet warned us all, and I've been telling everybody, but
Right.
this AI stuff is really damaging to any facet of Hollywood because for script writers, you got Chat GPT and all those other AI programs. And then for actors, you like Secret Invasion, the opening credits were done with AI. I didn't have a problem with that. I thought it was cool. I thought it fit until I
Agreed.
understood and read into it. And I was like, oh, wow. I didn't think about it because basically what studios have right now and the end game is that maybe not the marquee actors like Robert Downey Jr. and all those who are already, established, but new people coming in. A lot of the contracts are kind of built right now. This is why they went on strike, as they will get signed to a movie franchise or whatever, but also they have an AI thing where the studio can use AI for certain portions of the movie without the actor because AI is developing so well, you might not know the difference. And what happens is the AI portion, they don't get paid shit, nothing, which is dead wrong. And
Agreed.
I
I
talked to somebody. Yep, go.
I've also seen where they don't have anything set for streaming services.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Correct.
we use a lot of people use Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon Prime for music, or Amazon Music.
But you pay for it.
They do, but it's like per listen, so they get minimal. Like some Taylor Swift might be making millions from it, but a band like
You're gonna name some metal band I've never heard of.
I absolutely was, and the whole reason for that, and I stopped because it makes me
Right.
sound it makes me sound like some of the stuff I listen to. It's like, oh, you listen to that, but I think they're called Torture Demon is the name of it.
I get the idea you're trying to a less established band.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, Torture Demon.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a band who they have 2,800 monthly listeners. Do you think they're really making a living off of this? Right?
No,
Like they're
and
gonna have day jobs, right? They're gonna have things that they'll have to go back to work on. I remember a band, I don't know how they do it now, but it's called Lower Than Atlantis. It's a fairly well-established
I heard of them.
rock band, but for years the singer was working as a bricklayer because he couldn't afford to tour, and this was after they've had a really successful like album, and then they're still doing this, so they're at 172,000 monthly listeners.
So right? It's crazy that you say that. Like when I went to New York to visit my cousin for her 50th birthday, her husband is like the biggest metal like combo you'll ever meet. Like he knows every fucking band. His favorite band of all time is Slipknot. But we're sitting there at the table like during the party, and there was this guy there, and he ended up being part of what the fuck is the band? It's a German band, but it's like a German like metal band, and they're really big. But the thing that hit me was the guy was talking, he's in the band, the lead singer of the band, the head of the band, still while they were touring owned not a restaurant, owned a tiny dive bar, and they used to call it the Sand Bar because he would truck in sand during the summer months and like put it in the bar all over the floor so people could get like that luau feel or whatever. And he was telling me a story that like, yeah, it was a 9 to 5 because yes, the band made money and they went to Vegas and they toured and did shit. It wasn't always like on fire. And he was like, yeah, we would be doing, last call sometime, and we would just get a call from, MGM Grand in Vegas, and he'd be like, okay, last call, everybody. I got to fly out to Vegas and do a show. But he's like, after, he'd go back to the bar. He always had a backup plan. Yeah. And I'm sitting there going, I've heard of you guys. You're big. And they're like, yeah, but you don't know for how long. They're like, there's no net in this business, like football. Like you're as good as you are, as hot as you are. There's no retirement plan. Like you don't get coverage. It's like once it fizzles, it fizzles. So you always have a backup plan. And that hit me. I was like, holy crap. You never dawn on you on this, right?
Because they're in your mind, they're on TV, they're in your ears, right? They're rich, they're famous, they must be making money out of it. It's I think the same for a lot of people with comic creators too. Oh, you make comics, you must be making tons of money. I mean, I'm sure there's some money in it, but I mean, look at Matthew. Like his day job,
I was just about to say,
is not writing comics, right? Like there are so many folks that you and I talk to that we don't have on the show who love comics and who are into comics, but like we said, I have a day job, you have a day job, Brett has a day job. It's a lot of people I don't want to use this term comics journalism to describe myself because I'm far from that, but a lot of people that write about comics and some actual comics journalists probably aren't doing it full time.
Yeah, because it's not sustainable.
Yeah, like some are without doubt, but I would say
those are like the big fish. Like Jim Lee, he doesn't need another job from his day job. But like, yeah, like even what's his name? Brett might not want me to mention him, but it's a good reference.
Don't mention the name, and if we don't want.
Okay, I won't mention it. But like that person that I'm thinking of has all kinds of backup plans and needs it because it's not sustainable. Like it really hit me with Jack Black, who like he's a Hollywood name. He's so well known. He's a household name. Obviously, he's a household name through Tenacious D. I always thought he had Tenacious D because like he absolutely loves it, and I'm sure he does. But he's like, I need it. I have to keep it because of this very instance. If shit goes down and I don't work again in that genre, I got to pay the bills. I got to, either pay the bills. I got to have health coverage for my kids, my wife, or whatever. He's like, I'm never getting rid of it. Kevin Smith said the same thing. It's really unbelievable, like what these guys are going through. And like, I was so desensitized to it until I started really paying attention. And then I started listening more to the ugly side of it. People that I really loved as entertainers, actors, and whatever that now twist my stomach. Like I used to be a big Ron Perlman fan. I fucking loved Ron Perlman.
Mm-hmm.
Hellboy, Clay, and Sons of Anarchy, all his projects. And what I heard from him last week made me sick because if that's the notion, it's gross. He was like, they were like, oh, are you guys gonna, plan to meet in the middle? Some journalist was asking him, they were like, you gonna meet in the middle? Are you guys having a plan to squash this? And he goes, look, he's like, we're gonna wait this out. We're sitting on all the cards here. He goes, eventually these people are gonna get hungry. Their houses are gonna get foreclosed. Their apartments are gonna get, evicted, and we're gonna win. He's like, we're just gonna wait it out. We don't give a fuck. I was like, oh my God. That you can say that about human beings that work for you?
Yeah, that's not cool.
Disgusting, dude.
I know Stephen Amell said that.
Oh yeah, that was the second one I was going to bring up that broke my heart. Like that really broke my heart.
Now
because I like him.
I actually read the rest of what he said.
Okay, go.
And I'm going to paraphrase it because I don't remember exactly, but he effectively said the actors' strike is disruptive. What was followed up?
I agree with that.
I don't disagree with him. Like it's right. Of course it's disruptive. Like he can't, and I think he was somewhere he can't promote his show that's coming out weekly now. Like he can't promote it, get eyes on it because that's part of their striking. They can't do media. My understanding of the situation, and I'm happy to be proven wrong by anyone, was that's what he was talking about in relation to his comments. Was the fact that he can't promote his show. Fair enough. I get it, right? But again, he was either he was taken out of context or I'm misunderstanding. But whatever it is, that comment blew up. I did get a kick out of the fact that I saw someone say, "Oh, Stephen Amell wish his comments hadn't been repeated." So I was like, "Well,
you failed this city."
Yeah,
I saw all that shit.
You did say that at a convention, so it's not like it was in private between two people, right?
Yeah,
so,
right.
But
right.
Anyway, like I understand his point of view in that. Yeah, it's disruptive. Of course it is. It's stopping you from doing promotion to get more eyes on a show. So you obviously want to make a second season. You can't because you can't promote right now. You can't write the second season. You can't really start any kind of development for it. I get it. I do. I understand the frustration that he would be feeling. Probably could have chosen better words.
Oh, definitely. But he's not. Listen, I've met him once, and I've been a fan of him since Arrow because that's where I first saw him. And I also was a fan of him because he was such a diehard wrestling fan. And he came in SummerSlam 2015, I believe, and saved the Stardust angle. Like that was one of the coolest things on that pay-per-view was that they had the crossover thing. And also AEW in its current incarnation with Tony Khan wouldn't exist without Stephen Amell. Stephen Amell was an unsung hero with Cody Rhodes in the Bucks. Like he was there from the bottom up. And I watched the Cody Rhodes documentary on Peacock, which was fabulous, by the way.
Yeah, I agree. I watched it.
He was part of it. And like, basically what happened was after the Stardust shit, that was supposed to be so much bigger than what it was. Like Vince promised them much bigger. And it ended up being almost a throwaway that they made into maybe very close to a match of the night, like because they worked their asses off. After that, Stephen Amell was kind of like, his taste was out of his mouth for WWE because he's such a good friend with Cody. And he was like, no, I'm going to support him. So like they grassrooted AEW with the Bucks and all that. And the other thing I learned was I always thought Cody was a kayfabe EVP, meaning, oh, he's just a name. We're going to put him on there. The Bucks are the real EVPs, and then it's Tony Khan. That's not the case. Cody really was a fucking EVP with those two. It's just they had so many differences creatively with him and Tony and whatever that he kind of relinquished it before it went really, really south. Like he's in
Right.
my AEW Fight Forever game, which I think is so weird
I
that
I
he's
mean,
WWE.
I think it goes to show how long that game was in development.
Yeah, and it wasn't worth it. You didn't buy it, did you?
Not yet. I was waiting for
Don't.
yeah. I want to
Honestly,
play it,
please don't.
but I'm
Yeah,
holding
play
I'm
it.
holding
But
out for it.
oh, dude,
Yeah.
wait till it goes on sale. I am so that has got to be the Wonder Woman 84 of fucking disappointments for video
Yeah.
games for me. Like I thought I was going to get No Mercy, relived, invigorated with updated, no, man, it's
It's
so bad. They cut so many corners.
yeah, I've heard that. Like I've heard people, oh, it's good. It's
Dude,
there's a good
entrances are 3 seconds.
Do you know what? That doesn't bother me, and the
That
reason
bothers
being
me
is,
so much.
see, once I get watch an entrance the first time in a WWE game, I always skip it. Like I don't whenever I create a custom wrestler, I just don't bother with the entrance because
Mhm.
I don't watch them. I'm not spending 20, 30 minutes creating an entrance I'm going to watch once at best, and probably only when I create it, run it through. Oh, that looks cool. Skip, skip,
So,
skip.
I mean, I get that, but for me, it's like the whole walking to the ring
Yeah.
experience. And look, WWE, that's where they shine in the 2K games right now.
Mm-hmm.
Like sometimes you're like, oh crap, am I watching a pay-per-view or SmackDown? Like it's so live.
Yeah.
AEW wasn't going for that. They were going for the nostalgia kitsch factor of No Mercy, which is still the very best game
I
for
agree.
wrestling ever.
I agree. They just
By
had to
far.
reskin No Mercy and they'd be fine.
Yeah. What they lacked on was they didn't even get the fucking controls right. Like the grapple system, very close to No Mercy. But running, go try to master running in that fucking game. It's infuriating. Or
really?
the glitches, or like you're like, no, this isn't it. And you spent 3+ years on this. Like I would expect if it was a year and a half, 2 years, but 3, like multiple, restarts. Yeah, dude, they didn't even have FTR in the game to start. You had to like buy them, and oh man,
yeah, that's
so
insane.
pissed off.
Yeah, I was waiting for a deluxe version to go on sale because I figured that's going to be the starter.
I know they're gonna like patch it like every other game, but they're not gonna save this. Whatever their next game is, hopefully they learn from the mistakes.
I think that they're doing the opposite to WWE in that they're going to build on this one for a while.
Oh,
I don't know. So anyway,
but the creator wrestler, I know we're all over the place, but the creator wrestler is absolute fucking madness and shit. You cannot create anything close to a wrestler that isn't on AEW. Like at least WWE, I watch skins all the time on like fucking TikTok of people creating CM Punk like perfectly on a WWE game. You can't do it. Like it's so restrictive. And the storyline is abysmally bad. Like whoever wrote the career mode, it's a freaking joke. And the funny thing is too, I don't know if I know you're not on TikTok, but once in a while, go on. Cody Rhodes delivered a promo on Raw about 2 months ago with Brock Lesnar when they first started the feud.
Yeah.
And the basis of the promo was the fairy tale of the Scorpion and the Frog. And he told it so beautifully and so masterfully because Cody Rhodes is really good at just polishing what he says. So you play the game, and all of a sudden, it's the exact fucking promo, word for word from Raw, just without Brock Lesnar's name in it. Exactly to the T. And I'm like, wow, Cody Rhodes really is scripted. I never knew that. I thought he was, creative.
Yeah.
But no, he is like scripted to the nines, which is not bad. But like to hear it, like when you try to present something genuine and like passionate, it's on a freaking video game from 6 months earlier that you recorded the promo. Or
I was gonna say not even 6 months. How long ago did he actually record that? Right? When was he last in AEW?
Oh, dude, yeah, you're right. Probably a year and a half ago.
Right.
So the other thing is, I want to take the time to give you kudos because Alex, compared to me and Matthew, we would consider a novice, maybe in training NXT type of person who knows wrestling as well as like an up and comer. Well, he put both of us to shame and predicted something that would never happen in a million years. And when I watched it live, I was like, I can't ruin it for Alex, but I'm sitting there going, oh my God, there's no way this happened. And you predicted it 110 fucking percent.
It was the Brock Lesnar face turn, right?
Yeah. I even watched it back, and he says, now you're ready for Roman. I'm like, what? I was like, who stooged that to you? And Triple H came out and said that was 100% ad lib. They never scripted that and went in. They were like, that was a joy to watch, and no one, including Cody, expected it. Because Cody came out and he was like, oh, he's like, I thought Brock and I were going to go at it again. I know that's a kayfabe answer. They weren't really going to beat the shit, but he was like, I never fucking expected it. And if you watch Cody's face, he was very taken back because I can count on one finger that Brock Lesnar's done that.
Well, I think Brock, when The Undertaker put Brock over.
Yeah, that was hard.
Right? Like I think Brock's in the position now where, I mean, he's a freak athlete, right? He could be doing this for 10 years or more. But I think you're going to see him in the position now where he's going to start putting others over.
Which is exciting.
I agree. We should put a pin on it, 'cause I really want to talk about Ninja Turtles.
No. And let's go into the next.
Yeah. So folks, that's it for this week. As you can imagine, we are literally going to end the show and then just start another one, probably without actually stopping the recording.
Abrupt as ever. That's us.
Did you listen to last week with how it ended?
I did because I ended up getting disconnected from the lives, but oh my God, yeah.
I mean, that talk about abrupt. That was very much okay. Well, here we go. This is it.
Fine.
So that was that last week. You can find us. I mean, I don't really use Twitter much anymore. But
we don't do the socials, and Twitter is kind of a dying bird.
Yeah,
so
I'm
find us here.
Yeah, I'm dabbling in Threads.
I haven't even touched that.
It's basically it's the same as my Instagram, which is I'm dabbling in it. I'm not really using it all that much. When I say all that much, I might reply to the odd person, but I haven't actually put anything up myself. So
yeah, point is we'll get on other stuff eventually, but right now here we are.
Yeah, so we'll leave the Twitter thing there because maybe we say something interesting on Twitter that you might be interested in. It's one way that you can actually reach us. That's it.
Hey, thanks for watching the previous video from Graphic Policy Television. Just by watching, you help support our site. Thank you so much. Now, if you're watching these videos, you probably care about geeky things like movies, television, comic books, toys, games, video games, you name it. You can go and subscribe right now to our YouTube channel to stay in touch and catch all the new videos, or check out our website at graphicpolicy.com. There's a nice link on this end of the video. But as always, thank you for watching. Keep on rocking and keep it geeky.